Okay, in this video we are going to be talking about how to get into programming or coding. So this is for everyone that has been asking me about making the transition, like the things to consider, what to look into, where to do the research, where to find info, where to apply. Basically, all the things you need to consider before you actually make the jump from wherever you are into programming/coding. And yeah, remember, these are just my thoughts. This is not the definitive way of getting into programming, but yeah, let's talk about some of the things that you need to consider before you actually go get into the field. So the first thing that you need to consider is your current situation, like as in, what are you doing right now? Are you a student? Are you working full time? Are you working part time? Are you working at all, or between jobs, anything like that? Just understand your current situation, as that is very important, because your current situation will basically determine which option you take if you do decide to go the coding route, because there's various ways of actually doing it. Yeah. And I'm going to talk about that as we go along in the video. But your current situation is very important. Where are you right now? Right. That's something that you need to take stock of. Basically, most importantly, with regards to your time, do you have the time to invest into learning how to code? If the answer is yes, and the answer is normally going to be yes, the question is going to be, how much time do you have? Can you invest in something that's full time, where you have to study the entire day, or can you do it part time, or are you going to be only good with a weekend thing or something like that? Another thing to take into consideration with your current situation is your resources, like as in your access to resources right now, as in, do you have a computer or a laptop? For some people, they might think that's a no-brainer, but that's not the case. You might find that for some people, or depending on your situation, so your access to resources, your current resources, is very important. How much internet access do you have, if you have any? Right. Also, the last one that you have to consider, or the one that I can think of right now, is your obligations. Like, what are your obligations right now? As in, can you afford to stop working, or do you need to continue to work? Do you have any kids? Do you have people that you are taking care of? Because this coding thing, once you take the decision to go into it, it is going to take time. It is going to take a lot of your time. It actually just becomes who you are. Right. Another thing to take note of, or to actually consider, is the why part. As in, why do you want to learn coding in the first place? As in, have you heard about the nice salaries that the tech guys get in programming or coding? Or do you want to do it for the prestige, to be able to say, hey, I work in tech, or I'm a programmer, or anything like that? Or do you want to, I don't know, start your own Facebook or something like that, where that means going the entrepreneurial route? Or do you want to have an option of working from home, as programmers are really good at doing that? And with COVID and everything, most people who work in tech actually are working from home, even though they're starting to. Most companies are actually going for the hybrid approach from now, as the lockdowns come down. And yeah, so that's another thing to consider. And another important one is, know yourself. Like, how well do you know yourself? Right? As in, are you a computer person? So for me, that's actually one of the important things to take note of. As in, how much time do you normally spend with a computer in general? As in, even if you're not coding or anything, like, how much tinkering do you do on your computer or on your smartphone, or anything that has to do with a computer or a gadget? And because what I've found is, this is my own experience. Most people are really good at this, were computer people in the first place. Like, they enjoy using computers on a daily basis, or tinkering with computers on a daily basis. And another one has to do with logic. Like, how can I say this? How good are you with subjects that have to do with logic? Your maths, your science, and then things like that. You don't have to be world class, but it does help to be good in things that have to do with logic. Because once you start programming is all about logic. Yeah, but that's my 2 cents on that. And also, like, are you drawn into tech stuff? Like, I do you like gadgets? Do you like sci-fi movies? Do you know the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars and all those things? So do movies like June and all those things, like, do they interest you at all? And from what I found is people who are drawn into tech things are really good at programming as well. I don't know why it's like that, but it's like that. Yeah, but it is something to consider. So if you've been saying yes to a lot of what I've been saying, then yeah, programming is probably the thing for you, or the thing that you can look into. And yeah, so now so let's say you're convinced you just want to get into coding or programming or tech, and so what do? Like, that decision you've made. Number one, you have to do the research. Do your research. That's the first thing before you actually jump into programming. Do some research. Like, how you do research is, the first things first. Start with people, right? Do you know anyone who's in tech or programming in any shape or form, right? Send them WhatsApp messages, like, ask them about the field, ask them about their job. Go into Facebook, find the groups, get involved in the programming communities. Go to LinkedIn and find people there who do what you think you might like to, what you think you might like to, you might want to do. Yeah, so the first research you're going to do is just to look around you. Just to look around you. Are there any people close to you who are in the field, who are pursuing the field, or even online? Try and find a person or people or communities that have to do with coding or programming, and just ask, like, how does one get into this? How does one get into that? What do you do for it? What do you do on a daily basis? How did you get in? Ask those questions, and then that's going to really help you out. Right. Number two, just research. Just do research on it. Like this. Okay. Let's just jump onto the computer so I can show you this. So there is this nice search engine called Google, right? So once you hear, just type anything. Eh? Just say, get into, I don't know, coding. Okay, since I'm in South Africa, I'm going to assume that you're also in South Africa. So my South Africa is wrong. Okay, look at the first results. It already tells us the different coding bootcamps you can take in South Africa. So click this, open up the page, find out what's happening. Right, this is from a single Google search, and the very first results, it talks about coding bootcamps. So you're going to have to read about this and the various companies that offer these bootcamps. There's 367 options just in this first article. So learn about what are coding bootcamps and what does each of these companies have to offer. And that was just the first results. Let's click on the other results that have come out. Right, the second one is, okay, that's taking its time. Okay, where am I? Who's loaded? Okay, right. So this one comes from dev.to, and then how to learn coding in South Africa. Right. So it gives you online resources. Boom, a list of places that you can go to learn coding. These ones are free. I like that. Free really helps. Within Code, Johannesburg, Cape Town, Africa Teen Geeks, this is Johannesburg, Girl Code, Color Code, Data Centrics, Umuzi. There's a lot of places, right? You also have Code Space. Okay, this one's for Code Space. So yeah, what I wanted to emphasize here is just Google it. Right? Just Google the thing. How to learn how to get into programming in South Africa. If you're not in South Africa, just learn in whatever country that you're in. Just find out, how do people actually get into programming or coding? What are the options that are out there? Right. And another thing that I'd like to stress is another thing that can help you to get into programming or to learn more about programming is to actually talk about it. Just talk about it, as in in your social media statuses or anything. Just say, hey, I'd like to get into programming. What do I need to research? What do I have to, I don't know, learn about? Talk about what the different companies that you see that are doing nice tech things or anything like that. Just talk about it, and you'll see that you're actually going to get some nice results or some nice responses from people around you, or hopefully you that are going to be looking at your messages. So now that everyone is going to know, everyone close to you is going to know that so and so is actually interested in tech or is interested in coding. So yeah, the universe is going to respond to whatever you're talking about. Whenever you're talking about about coding or tech, people will respond to that. And last thing, because I just talked about the research part. Let's say you've done your research and you realize, hey, you really want to do this. Then in that case, you have to research or decide on a learning path. As in, starting where you are right now, how are you going to learn how to code? Right. So there's various options, right? You have the first option is going the soft self-taught route. So self-taught route basically means you just start learning. You go and you read the start read articles, blogs, watch videos, do online tutorials or whatever, and just learn how to code by yourself. That's very big, and it's also very affordable because you don't pay much money, just use data, and maybe you spend time money buying the books or borrowing books from your library, depending on where you are. But going the self-taught route is in my opinion, what I recommend you start with, because it's the cheapest way to do it, and it's the one that's easiest for you to basically do with the time that you do to do with the time that you have. So yeah, just go the self-taught route firstly. The second way of learning how to code is going the traditional route. So traditional route means actually applying for something that has to do with programming in university or tech. So this can be a comp sci degree. It can be a BCom IT or IT or information systems degree, or anything like that. Anything tech related. Just do it the normal routes. This one is actually good if you have the time to invest, either going to do the degree full time on a full time basis or a part time basis, and as it is still the most recognized way of getting into programming. And another one is when going into programming is just doing the boot camps, right? Like we've seen on some of the results here. Where is this thing? It is here. Like for instance, some of the boot camps that you can do or that you can look into are these ones here. Another one that I'd like to show that is not here is Explore Data Science for people that want to get into data field, like for your data scientists, data engineers, data anything. For like if someone is talking about machine learning, 4IR, and all of that, then this is a nice place to actually learn about that, because there's full-time courses, there's part-time courses, there's short-time courses, there's a whole host of options that you can do at Explore. That's if you want to go the data route. And then if you want to do mobile applications or front end or web dev or anything like that, then you can look into the other. Coding boot camps. Right. Another decision that you're going to need to make when it comes to your learning path is: do you want to go full time do you want to go online or offline? In the sense that, are you fine with learning things by your own, as in at home, online? That's if you are, that is really good, and that's actually really affordable to just do something online at the comfort of your own home. Another option is to do it offline, which means going to a campus. Now, this tends to be expensive, but it really helps in that you get to actually create your own community quickly. As in, you get to meet with other students that are pretty much going to be doing what you're going to be doing. You get to interact on a face-to-face basis with the tutors or professors, and yeah, it's really nice. So if you can afford to just go to a campus to actually go learn this thing with other people, well, then that's great. But then you do always have that online option as well. And right, and another thing when it comes to choosing your learning path is this: your learning path has to match your why. Like for instance, remember in the beginning I said you need to be clear in terms of why do you want to learn programming? Why? Do you want to get a good job? Do you want to start your own Facebook? Why do you want to learn programming? Right. So that's also needs to match your learning path. Like for instance, if you're doing the entrepreneurial route, as in you want to start your own things, then you might not need to go to varsity to go spend 4 years on a comp sci degree. You can just do a couple of tutorials on YouTube and then just start your prototype and then just go forward with it. So that's another thing to consider when choosing a learning path. And also the amount of time that you have. Like for instance, if you're working full-time and you have kids, so studying full-time is going to be difficult. So you might need to do something part-time and also maybe part-time and online so that you can do it at home when the kids are sleeping. Right. So that's you deciding on a learning path, right? So now So which path would be best for you? What I'm going to tell you now is, again, my own opinion. There's a learning path you cannot escape. Like it or not, you are going to do this. And that learning path is the self-taught routes. It doesn't matter. Even if you want to go do comp sci or do whatever, it doesn't matter. The self-taught routes is going to be part of your life, like it or not, right? So you need to be good, or you need to learn how to teach yourself things, because even if the degree is done, it doesn't mean your learning journey is going to be done. You're still going to be expected, you're still going to need to keep up with the IT field and all of its changes. So you have to get good at teaching yourself all of these things. And then there's going to be that whole decision of which programming language do I need to start with. That's a whole different video on itself, right? Because you might find that, but in short, if you're doing anything with data, then you're probably going to be looking at Python. If you want to go the web development route, and then you're looking at your JavaScript. If you're looking at mobile dev, it depends. Do you want to do Android dev? You do want to do iOS, or do you want to do hybrid? And then, because you have Swift on the iOS side, you have on the Android side, it's either Java, Kotlin, or maybe Flutter as well. But Flutter is hybrid. So those are some of the considerations that you're going to need to make, but that you can just, again, Google it. Just find out which programming languages are big in doing which certain things. And yeah, with that, if you decide to go through if you've decided to go the traditional route, as in going to university, just apply. Like, click on it, find out what the requirements are, apply to whatever university or whatever tech, whatever college that you want to attend to. Just apply, or call them or send them emails. Find out, hey, how do I get in? What if my situation is there? Do you offer something part-time? Do you offer something that's fully online? Anything like that. But then if you're going to do that, you also need to consider, actually for all of the routes, you need to also consider the financing part. How are you going to pay for all of this, right? So the traditional part tends to be the most expensive one, as in going to university is not cheap. And then the boot camps are right below that, depending on how long the boot camp is. Most boot camps are around a year, and those can also cost a bit of money. But it also depends. Like for both routes, you can actually get companies to sponsor you. So if you're learning this to get into the field and get a job, you can actually get sponsors to sponsor you to do both a course at university or a boot camp. Again, you're going to need to call the places where you can learn, just to find out what financing options are available for students. And yeah, there's something I've learned in coding or in programming, right? Coding and programming, it's similar to sales, right? In the sense that it is actually easy to get into. Anyone can get into programming. Like today, you can just, boom, you can just go in and start programming and type in print hello world, and that's it, you're in. However, becoming good at it was going to take you blood, sweat, and tears. You are going to need to be consistent. You are going to need to learn like on a daily basis. Like, so yeah, it's easy to get in, but it takes time to get good enough for you to add value, or to do something good, or to do something proper in programming. So that is something that you are going to need to keep in mind. So you're going to need to give yourself time to get good at it. A coding bootcamp can be a nice start, but it's only that. Like, it's a start. You're going to need to also put in months and years to get good at your craft, because yeah, coding or programming is a craft. And yeah, right. So now there's this one question that actually pops up from time to time. And this question is, should you be good at maths? The answer to that one is it depends, right? So it depends on which route you're going to be taking, whether you're going the data science route, or you just want to create apps and all that stuff, right? But the one that I'd like to highlight is that for you to be good in programming, the work ethic that is required for you to be good in programming is the same work ethic that is required for you to be good at maths. So there, I think, in my mind, that's one of the reasons why companies and schools ask people to be good at maths whenever they want to apply for programming, is that you're going to need the same work ethic. Like, you're going to need to put in the time and the hours, the days, months, and years, and be consistent at just grinding it out to learn and to actually implement whatever it is that you want to learn in programming. So yeah, for me, that's what it boils down to. It's the work ethic. The work ethic that you're going to need to be good at math is the same work ethic that you're going to need to be good in coding or programming. Right. And yeah, another thing to consider is this. Do you really need to learn how to be, do you really want to learn how to code, or do you just want to get into tech? Because not all tech jobs are programming jobs. There are actually there's a whole host of tech jobs that where the people that are in those jobs, they don't code at all. Like you have your product owners, you have okay, there's a whole host. Like you can actually just, again, Google, just go into Google and just say what tech jobs without coding. See, it's even Google is even giving me a suggestion here. Yeah, so the very first link again, very first result just said 16 careers you can learn, no coding required. And you have your product managers, project managers, technical writers. There's a lot of things you can do in tech that don't have to do anything with coding, or where you are not expected to code, or where you can get in without coding. So that's another thing that you're also going to need to take into consideration, that you don't actually need to code at all. Like there are some roles that don't require you or won't require you to code. So we can also just look into researching those and then just using those as a way of getting into the tech world. And then lastly, last but not least, is it worth it? Like, is it really worth it? Like to actually put in the effort to learn this? What if you end up not liking it in the end? So for me, what I would like to say is, whether you end up liking or getting into tech or not, you are actually ultimately going to come out a better person. You're going to be more knowledgeable about the tech industry if you actually do take the time to try and learn how to code, even if you're giving it 1 hour per week, or you're giving it 10 hours a day, or whatever it is that you end up choosing. So yeah, in the end, you're going to come out a better, well knowledgeable person. But for me, what I would say is, for me, it's a hell yes. It would, like when I decided to get into coding, and I actually took the time and invested in getting into coding. And yeah, for me, the results have been good. I like the job that I'm currently doing, and I like the things that we create. I like a lot of things about programming. So for me, it works. So for me, it's a hell yes. It was worth it, and I'm hoping it's going to be worth it for you. Well, if you do decide to actually commit into learning how to code, or to learn how to do anything, or to just learn about the tech industry in general. And yeah, I've spoken for a while. So yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great journey in researching and getting, and ultimately getting into tech in whatever way that you end up choosing for yourself. And yeah, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.